Okay, the three amigos, the three wise men, the three musketeers, those images outside the High Court, have what you will, portrayed 1,000 images. I'm sure you agree, even now, 3 years on, emotional day.
Oh, it's certainly more than an emotional day, and when I look at the picture, and it's been retweeted quite a few times in the last sort of 48 hours, still the hairs on the back of my neck sort of stand up. It was just a wonderful day.
Yeah. Actually, it was a bit of a cup final gone into extra time, wasn't it? That's what was riding on it on that final day. It was either you're still here or bust.
Absolutely, the three of us here and a number of other people have been working on this for 18 months leading up to that day, and it was a strange day. In the end, a lot of it wasn't played out in the courts; it was played out in the offices of BDO, where we were trying to negotiate a final deal, and we had to dash across in a taxi with the paperwork for the judge. Yeah, incredible day.
Mick, you were yellow carded that day, or you were yellow carded during court proceedings. Tell us about that.
Well, I had been in and out of the court with Mark while the negotiations were going on, and I had been religiously turning my phone off every time we went into court, except that last time. And the minute it became obvious that we were going to win that case, my phone started. It was text. I tried to switch it off, and then it went again. And as he said, I think
you did get a warning.
He said, "You've had your get out of jail free card." They'd turn it off or something like that.
Mine you almost worth a little prison sentence, wasn't it?
Well, it is something to remember, isn't it?
Was,
yeah. Yes, it was a fantastic day.
When you look behind you and look around you, it's a legacy of where you've come and what you've achieved and what you actually all did on that day, along with, has to be stressed, with a lot of others.
Well, I think we all hope that we would be able to, leave a lasting sort of legacy of everything that we tried to achieve. And, this was really the start of it. And to be stood here today, 3 years after sort of taking over the club, is just really quite remarkable when you think that this club, after all the money that had poured through, had never ever had its own training facilities. And now we've got training facilities that we can all be justly proud of. And the players love it too.
Yeah. Actually, how much did it take out of people?
Huge amount. It took a huge amount. I mean, the amount of time that the three of us spent together.
We almost lived
months,
together.
Yeah. And it was hugely damaging to some people with their business relationships, their personal relationships and family relationships. It was really quite an intense and stressful period.
Was there ever a time, Mick, where you said, no, enough?
No, never. I mean, there were times that I think all three of us felt really down. I've mentioned it before, but the day that Trevor told us that the Keith Harris bid would have to be going forward, when everybody suspected that it wasn't a kosher bid, but it was on the table, and he, as the administrator, had to take it. And I think we were all very down, and I believe it was the same day that the Football League said, if it's got to be the trust or nobody else, it's no further time.
I remember Mick phoning me. I was at my daughter's parents' evening, and the phone went, and I was supposed to be with a teacher, but I saw it was Mick, and I thought it must be important. So I answered it, much to her disgust, and he gave me the news from the Football League, and there was a great big cheer. It was incredible.
Yeah, I tried to phone Mark immediately because I had Eric Colborne, who was one of the presidents, on the phone to me trying to console me, because it had been, we were on the deck pretty much. And as I put the phone down, and my wife was on the other side of the office, and I could hear her whooping and screaming, and that was when she read the announcement from the Football League. I tried to phone Mark, but I couldn't. I was too emotional. So I had to hand the phone to Anne.
It's not like you, Mick.
To impart the news to Mark, who was driving back from somewhere, I can't remember.
Yes, I was.
You mentioned Trevor Birch. How much did it do to have you on his side? Because let's look, if you'd had Andrew Andronikou, you wouldn't have got as far as looking at any books.
No, but in fairness, though, Johnny, initially I don't think we were all on the same page as Trevor. And I remember one particular meeting that Mick and I had, and we were at Fratton Park, and I seriously thought that Trevor was going to throw Mick and I out of there. And when we were told that we had to show proof of £100 million, there were moments like that.
Andronikou, wasn't
that
it?
was to Andronikou, but when we had to prove that we were people level of substance. It was quite a challenge, but we were able to do it, and thank goodness we had, the force of the fans behind us, and the guys that were to become presidents who supported it as well. Oh, it was really just quite wonderful in lots of ways, but it wasn't all plain sailing, I've got to tell you.
No, once Trevor had realised that we were serious and that we could probably do it, then he was very, very supportive.
Yeah, he was.
But in all honesty, at the
Took
beginning,
a while.
Yeah, it took a while, and who would have thought a bunch of fans could buy a football club? But we did it.
Well,
We did it.
You are living proof. Look around you, and it is living proof. Just going back to that court case, the judge seemed to be going one way, and I was just looking at text, and it was sending me mad because the judge was going that way and he was going that way. They've got to make a film about it, because when that little bit of paper comes, was it as dramatic as it sounds?
Yeah, it was pretty dramatic. We didn't know. I mean, I was on the way up in the morning at the train station, expecting to go to the court for what was probably going to be 2 or maybe 3 days of proceedings, and I got a phone call to say, actually, you need to go to the BDO offices, that they want to do some last minute negotiations, and I went there with a few others.
And you texted Mark and I, didn't you?
Yeah, texted Mick and Mark, who suddenly decided they should come up and join us in London.
I think we got up there in about an hour and a bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep. And there was several hours of negotiations before we finally got a deal, which wasn't straightforward, and the judge was getting increasingly impatient. Mick and Mark were phoning me up constantly saying, what's going on?
Yeah,
the judge is getting unhappy.
He set a deadline, I believe it was 3 o'clock, and he said if the Tomlin's not been agreed by then, we will start this case. At 3 o'clock he duly did, and he tore our barrister to pieces, which made us all very, very nervous. But then he equally tore their barrister to pieces as well, so we felt a bit better then.
And even coming over from BDO offices, we had a bit of a Benny Hill chase, because we came out and we couldn't find a taxi anywhere. So we had this bit of paper and we're running around the streets with me, Ian, and a couple of others. And Trevor couldn't find a taxi nowhere in London. Eventually we managed to jump in the middle of the road and flag one down and get in it.
We do have to make a film about it.
It's great because Mick's phone actually bought them a bit of time.
And the fan who leant on the light switch,
Yes,
remember
yeah,
that?
yeah,
The
yeah.
total went into darkness.
Tactical scene right to the end.
It would make a good film.
It would. Mick, you'll forgive me for saying you're not a renowned drinker. I think you sunk a few that night.
I did, yeah. There was a tweet, I think it was yesterday, to say that he met Mark and I outside the court, and I'd smoked about 10 fags in 5 minutes. We had a couple in London, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And then on the way back, we realised that...
Only had a half.
Yes.
I was driving.
He was driving. But on the way back, we heard there was a party at the Shepherd's Crook. I phoned Anne, said, get down to Shepherd's Crook, and Mark and I went there, and there was a bit of a party there. We had one or two.
Actually.
I had to do a whole lot of press interviews straight afterwards, along with Ian McInnes, and everyone else was enjoying themselves in the pub, and I had about 2 hours of interviews, but I certainly caught up when I joined.
But you're now a Sky celebrity.
I looked back on the press coverage the next day, just a few days ago, and every national newspaper had it as a major story. I think it was big news at that time. Well, it still is big news, really. We're still the biggest.
The other great picture is the one from the following day in the Fratton Park director's box.
That's
of Ian
right, yeah.
spraying us with the bottle of champagne as well. That's another.
Let's say they're all photographs that they stick in your mind, don't they, forever? Like this will. You took the club forward. You took the club and you saved it, basically, along, as we say, with a lot of others. So, gentlemen, it's a great tribute to interview you 3 years on.
We mustn't forget all the other people down here as well, because there's so much. It wasn't just us three.
No.
There's all those presidents and all the other fans, all the guys from SOS Pompey. So many people played a significant part in this, and we were just the people that were stuck in front of the cameras and led some of the work. But yeah, so much thanks to so many people.
And I don't think we mustn't forget the staff at Fratton Park, because they had been through hell for a number of years, really, and they stuck by us, and particularly once we started the work on the Monday after we signed, they were fantastic.
That's okay, mate. You can buy me a drink in a minute. Okay. Gentlemen, sum up your feelings now in as little words as possible, all three.
Oh, I'm still very emotional about the whole thing, and immensely proud that the three of us actually started the ball rolling and we were able to see it right the way through.
Very proud and honoured of everything we did, and honoured to be in the position that we're in now.
Yeah, I'm very proud also, particularly of all the Pompey fans. And of course there were other people like politicians, and even David Cameron came out in support of us, didn't he? So, but yeah, very proud of the fans, and as I said just now, we did it.
Gentlemen, rightly proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.